I got a question I want to raise with respect to something the Lord said to me this morning in the prayer closet. Now, this is not what the Lord said to me. This is what he has shown me. So there's two things. One, what the Lord said, the other, what he showed me. And the question is, was Barack Hussein, now known as a long-legged Mac Daddy, and the group of CIA agents that he was associated with and still a member of, that particular class of CIA, if you will, assets, was that group involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur and Notorious Big, the Notorious Biggie Smalls? Were they involved? Was Obama's class of CIA agents involved in the whacking, in the murder of Tupac Shakur? That's Tupac Shakur. That's the question. Now hold on. I'm gonna go someplace else, and I'm coming back to that question to try to give you an answer to it. But let's just look at a couple of things. What the Lord said to me about the lost sheep. That during the time, the advent of Barack Hussein Obama running for president and the actual event of Obama being elected president, the ATLAH Church ministry and I as a pastor lost 150 actual seated in the House members, people that participated with the church. In addition to that, we lost another 200 associates, people that were pastors who also had churches, or people that were not members of this church, members of other churches, but were greatly associated with the ATLAH ministry because of a program called No Duel, No Reign, and because of the ministry that we had done here in Harlem for a goodly number of years. It brought a large number of pastors and others as our associates and had us as members of several organizations. Those people left as well. So, and that's a very, if you will, narrow way of looking at a larger amount of people. But I think that's a credible way of looking at some 350 people that left the ministry as a result of their believing that Obama was the Messiah, that he was the sent one. The racist, black people are the most racist people on planet Earth. They're racist before they even genderize. Black people are racist before they even recognize themselves as LGBTQ. They're racist before they have breakfast. They're the most racist people ever walked the planet Earth. And so when Obama showed up as the alleged African-American, everybody around the world knew that this is going to get these people juices going, and they're going to turn hell over with high water too to get this boy elected because they're racist. Obama never had to say anything about what they're going to do for him. All they had to do was say the boy was black, and these racist black people were more racist. They're racist before they have breakfast. And it was so. And that's how it is right now. That's that way right now. But my question is this, is that the members that are lost, oh, God Almighty, his name is Jesus, talked to me this morning. And to look at these people as lost sheep. Now, if they left the ministry, but they never raised their hand, they never tried to destroy it. They never did any of those kind of things. They just thought I was wrong, and they decided to move on to go to some other ministry. But now they've discovered now after 13 years that I was right, and they missed the loving touch of having me as their pastor. They would to God they could turn back the hands of time. And all the crazy things they did in the name of Obama, that, they were foolish. God, if they could just go back and undo all those crazy things, because they thought Obama somehow or another was the Messiah. But the Lord said to give a call. I didn't argue with the Lord about this. I'm a little concerned about it. But he said, give a call. Normally I do the lost sheep ministry during the Passover season, Easter, resurrection season, that y'all call it Easter. But God said, do it now to the beginning of the year to let people know that 13 years ago, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, that they made that mistake. And then even some that stayed around after the Obama election left when Obama was able to convince the Supreme Court to legalize sin, the abominable sin of a man lying with man, that the Supreme Court made that legal and discredited the Bible and said that the Bible's sense of legality was wrong and that the men and women that sit on the Supreme Court were wiser, and they were led there to that water. They were led to that pool, a well to drink from, by Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, and Joe Biden, Biden. And we lost another 50 folk. The loving members that felt that one woman stood up and said to me in a meeting, Pastor Manning, I'm a woman. I have a wife as a lover, and we live together. And I don't know what's wrong with you, but Obama, our president, has said it's good. And I don't know why you don't get with it. Everybody else has said that it's good, and that's the right thing. Obama says it's good, Pastor Manning. What's wrong with you? And she had a daughter at the time in our school, Janea, whatever her name was, who hated it, who didn't like the fact her mama was in the bed at night with another woman. And finally, the young girl had left our school, and she last time I saw her, like she's driven, like she was crazy. She was just a young girl, 18, 19, 20 years old, and she's all messed up because of what her mother did. And that's not the only one. But it was because Obama said it. We lost members. I want to say to you that the door is open for you to return home. And I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But let me go back to was Obama involved in the assassination, shooting down in the street like a dog, Tupac Shakur, and the notorious Biggie Smalls. Why is that important? Let me tell you why. Obama was a CIA agent. Now, I said on Saturday, people don't believe me. Even the members of the church that love me and ain't gonna leave or go nowhere, they just don't believe it. They just don't believe that Obama was a CIA agent. But he was recruited at Occidental College, and he was sent into Afghanistan during the closing out of the foundation of the group called the Muslim Brotherhood. And the Muslim Brotherhood later became an Afghanistan group called the Mujahideen, which really means basically the same thing in Farsi, if you will, or whatever the language is. And Obama was recruited out of Occidental College mainly because he had a Muslim cadence. By cadence, I mean he had the habits, the behavior. He looked and kind of acted like, what would be considered a Muslim. And he had that understanding. And not only that, but he was fluent in the language as well. And he was sent to, recruited by the CIA. They gave him if you will, a secret identity. Said they was taking him from Occidental College, and he was going to, or he had been recruited by Columbia University to study political science at Columbia University. But he was actually sent to Afghanistan to work with the Mujahideen. There are several things. One is the arms trade, like the Iran-Contra and the Sandinistas under Ronald Reagan. The arms trade that the Mujahideen needed to fight the Russians, who were deep inside of Afghanistan at the time, and America came to assist with helicopters, with surface-to-air missiles, and Obama was strategic in teaching how to operate those, how to use them, how to do the sales. And the other end of that is Afghanistan and Pakistan is known in the heroin trade as the Fertile Crescent or the Golden Crescent. There's more heroin. 90% of the heroin that's in the earth today comes out of Afghanistan. Now, years ago, back in the 60s, the 50s and the 60s, under John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon, most of the heroin in America came from Vietnam. So when the French went into Vietnam and stayed there for 10 years and got their butts kicked by Ho Chi Minh, America went in, and at the same time, they were bringing duffel bag loads of heroin out of Vietnam. And the great heroin epidemic happened in the 60s because all that Vietnam heroin, while we were allegedly fighting a war, we were bringing heroin. American transport planes, military planes, were bringing heroin into America like you won't believe, and literally dousing the streets of Harlem, South Central Los Angeles, Philadelphia, dousing the streets of Washington, D.C., and everywhere you look, people were on heroin. It all came from Vietnam, and it was all government-sponsored, by the way. It was. That teetered out at the end of the Vietnam War. And then came the opportunity to get heroin out of Afghanistan. The greatest poppy fields, the best heroin, the best poppy fields you're going to find anywhere on planet Earth are in Afghanistan right this moment. Now, if there's anything you might say that Trump has done good in scaling down the war in Afghanistan, which isn't a war, it's a heroin trade. is by bringing the troops home, because you don't have a lot of transport planes going back and forth that can actually bring all that heroin, that poppy that's grown in Afghanistan, to the streets of America. So the heroin trade has lost its power. And in between the heroin trade, between Vietnam and Afghanistan, grew the cocaine trade out of Colombia with El Chapo and a bunch of others that sold zillions of dollars of cocaine. So you get cocaine out of South America, you get heroin out of Southeast Asia. But here, Obama was there, and Obama was involved in the Mujahideen that later became the Taliban, later gave birth to Osama bin Laden. They said it was at Columbia University. I have a card here. This is Columbia University student identification card. Now, I was not a student. I was not an actual student registered in Columbia. I was a student at Union Theological Seminary. Now, when you enter Union and Columbia are affiliates, and you can get a degree from Columbia. You can get a combined degree from Columbia and Union at the same time. I got a 3-year degree in divinity and theology. I could have signed up to get a 4-year degree of MSW and an MDiv from Columbia and Union at the same time. I didn't want to go that route. I wasn't interested in social work. But Columbia University gave us student identification cards because we also had to use the Butler Library. We were part of the process of the medical program of students and their care. So this is my identification card from years ago. As you can see, I went by to get this when I was talking about this some time ago. But I don't even have my union, but I have a Columbia University and could have studied there. Now, I couldn't have gotten into the law school, but but my point of this, by showing you my identification, is that I was at Union Theological Seminary and Columbia University concurrently at the same time that Obama says that he was at Columbia University. Now, let me tell you, I was at Union Theological Seminary in the heydays of Union. James Forbes, pastor, the great homiletics teacher, one of the 10 best preachers on planet Earth, allegedly. James Cone, the writer and author of Black theology that sold books from Sri Lanka all the way down to Greenville, South Carolina. Dr. Cornel West was my systematic theology and my philosophy teacher. James Cone was my teacher. James Forbes was my teacher. And James Melvin Washington was my church history. These four men, James Melvin Washington graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University and magna cum laude from Yale and Princeton as well. Brilliant man. In the year 1983, 1984 to 1985, to about 1987, all these men were teachers. They were my instructors at Union. Let me tell you something. If Obama was at Columbia University, as many other African students that came in from all over the world to study at Columbia, they came to Union, which is right across the street, and sat down and talked to Cornel West. Cornel West was a big deal then. James Cone was the biggest deal then. Nobody ever heard of Obama. I never saw him. I was on Columbia University campus as much as I was on Union Theological campus. I never saw him, never heard of him. There's no way. There ain't no, and Columbia fronted for him because he was a member of the C.I.A. Now, I brought this information over 10 years ago. Most people don't believe it, but he was never there. You can't find one person at Columbia or Union during the years that he alleged he was there that can say, I saw him on campus. I saw the boy walking on campus. And Obama's a tall and striking person with a striking walk and a striking accent. Somebody would have remembered him. Nobody knows. He was in Afghanistan as a CIA agent. Now, what does this have to do with Tupac Shakur? What does this have to do with the Notorious Big? The Death Row Records and many of the young rappers in the early 80s, 1980, and the early 1990s, when Tupac finally got out of jail for his first time around, they were all involved in drug sales and promoting drug sales in their songs, promoting cocaine, promoting that whole idea. And Tupac had stated after coming out of jail and hooking up with Death Row Records that he wasn't going to do drugs anymore, wasn't going to smoke. He wasn't going to smoke dope. And he's going to go clean, and he's going to rap clean. And he was iced. And to this day, nobody knows who killed him or the Notorious Big. He was in the car with the president or the leader of Death Row Records, but it was the CIA that did it. And it wasn't Obama. He didn't pull the trigger. But 1996, the year that Tupac Shakur was killed, Obama was still a part of that CIA group, like the Navy Team SEAL 6 group. They have a fraternity. And that same fraternity of CIA agents came back into America and were working the streets of America, promoting the idea of drug use on the streets of Harlem, streets of Los Angeles. And when you get somebody with a name like Tupac Shakur, who says he's going to quit drinking, quit smoking, quit that would have a great influence on young black men, drug dealers. That would put a dent in the CIA drug trade coming out of Afghanistan. The CIA whacked him. That's what happened to him, and the Notorious Big as well. You know, Tupac's mother, I think her name is Gina. She was born just a couple of days before I was born, right there in Lumberton, North Carolina. She died recently, but we come from the same. We were born in the same Robeson County. His mother, that he wrote that song, My Mama, about. Here, why am I saying this? I'm saying this to you as additional information from the information we brought forth in the trial of Obama, that he was sent to Harvard. And it potentially could be involved in the murders of what took place in Chicago. And here's where I want to go with this. Why was it that so many black men killed each other during the advent of Obama? And Louis Farrakhan said nothing about it. Jesse Jackson did nothing. Oprah Winfrey gave away cars to 100 people, but did nothing. She could have given a car to some of these people killing one another in Chicago, where Obama hails from, and stopped the killing. Oprah could have done it. I'm simply saying to you, one of the worst things that have ever happened to the black man, beyond the fact that he's born a racist, he's a racist before he goes to bed, he's a racist before he eats breakfast, he don't know how to do nothing. He can't pee without being a racist pisser. But beyond that, Barack Hussein Obama. And, you know, I wondered why Trump never offered up an investigation into Obama's CIA connection. And I think, and I'm always right, there'll need to be an investigation into not Obama's shooting or killing of Tupac Shakur. I don't think he did that, and I'm not a rapper. But I can tell you that the same group of CIA agents that worked the poppy fields of Afghanistan and the streets of South Central Los Angeles were involved in shutting up Tupac Shakur because he had just become a mighty voice. His father, Matula Shakur, who himself was a teacher at Columbia University. And it's Obama. And it very possibly could have been that is why Tupac was iced. I think that ought to be. Having said that, now do you want to reconsider? Because nobody won't believe me. Here I am out here, and I got this information. God let me be at Columbia University, and I never saw him. God let me be in Harlem. Nobody in Harlem ever saw him. Nobody at Mosque number 7. Nobody saw him at a church. Nobody saw him in a restaurant. No woman ever said he dated her. No man ever said he dated. And I was unbelieved, trampled on. But this truth needs to come to light. Maybe you don't want to do it for me, but maybe you do it for Tupac. Maybe you do it for his mother, who later had to get involved with robbing a Brinks truck. Maybe you folk will look at Obama as the worst thing that he has stolen from black people. He stole their heart. He stole their soul. This man is the biggest pimp. Obama is a long-legged Mac Daddy. Obama is a pimp. Obama pimped black women and white women. God said he's the greatest pimp that ever walked the planet Earth. Obama. And still influencing and pimping Biden and pimping Camelback ain't Black Harris. So here, having said that, you know what I'm saying is true. You didn't want to believe it then. I've never done anything to hurt you. I've always told you the truth about yourselves. But now you see who the man is. And he's powerless. He and Jay-Z are powerless. Listen, Donald Trump puts together bigger crowds than Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Obama all on the stage in Philadelphia. Can't draw like Tribulation Trump. What's up with that? What's up with that? I'm here to say to you that if your heart is in the right place and you realize that I was right when I had to be the man that was hated by every black person on planet Earth, even black babies in their mama's womb hated me before they were giving birth. When they hear the name Manning, their mama was sitting there, she's pregnant, she's 7 months pregnant, and the baby's in the womb. And they hear the name James David Manning, Pastor Manning in Harlem, and the baby started hating me, ain't never seen me. That's how much I was hated. But I ain't gonna quit. I'm not gonna give up. And I believe that God will one day bring the truth. And the truth is that Obama was involved with the drugs and the killings in Chicago. It was the same drugs and killing that killed Tupac. It was the inspiration of the greed for money. And as I suppose you would want to be able to say Fred Hampton's son, who stated that the Chicago police are the biggest gangsters in Chicago, many police officers could have stopped and they could have put a quarantine on what was happening in Chicago and stopped. But they let the drug killings go on. They just let it go. They let the shootings go on. 15 people get shot at a McDonald's restaurant. The police don't show up 2 days later because of Obama. Obama is the cause of all those deaths in Chicago and a lot of other places around the planet. But I believe his class of CIA agents were involved in the whacking of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas, going back to 1996. You might want to come home. You might want to decide I'm going to start listening to Pastor Manning. What has he ever done to me except tell me the truth? Hell, you know you're a racist. You know you never built anything. You never done anything. You know it. And you've gotten into a period now where you don't blame white folk for it. You made white people gods. You made them gods. Hey, white man, keep me down. You made him a god. And Pastor Man's trying to tell you, well, that's me. Trying to tell you about yourself. You need several generations. You just to come out of that mold of being black before you piss, being black before you have breakfast. You're black before you're anything. At any rate, if you want to come home, and probably after hearing that, you say, Pastor, I don't know if I can sit with you again. Here, the opportunity the Lord says that if you realize that you were wrong, you don't want to continue to support somebody like Obama. You don't have to come back to worship here. You don't have to come back to be a part of the house. God says you can. If you've never done, now if you've done things to try to hurt me or to burn down the house, well, you're not welcome. But at the very least, you can stop supporting Obama, Biden, and Camelback Harris and all these LGBTQ freaks that Obama has turned out, in the pimp world. In the world of pimps, when you get a young girl and she ain't never sold her body before, maybe they've never had sex, and you put her on the street and she actually go out there on that street and sell her body for $10, that's called turning her out. That's what it's called. It's called turning her out. And you know what Obama did to black people? Obama turned the black preacher out, turned him into an LGBTQ proselytizing freak. Obama turned the black church out. Obama turned the African Methodist Church out, singing Amazing Grace down there at that funeral at that black church. Obama turned the black church out. Obama turned the black church into a whore. Obama turned black people into whores, to freaks, to pimps. Turned the black family into LGBTQ. Open your eyes. I've never done anything except tell you the truth. Open your eyes, and your hearts will open too. You got your eyes closed, so your hearts can't see. Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and a lot of the drug fighting that went on because of the drugs coming out of Afghanistan, making billions of dollars of profit for the banks that would wash the money that these drug dealers were able to raise millions of dollars in a suitcase and take it to a bank. They ain't got no business. The bank will take it, take a cut, wash it, and Wall Street banks get rich and richer because of people like Obama and the CIA. At any rate, everybody, this is a long message about the lost sheep. You may decide not to actually stop hating me. You may decide to actually just stop and take a damn minute and listen to me. That's right. I was at Columbia. That's right. That's right. The same year that he says he was there. The same year. You might want to take the time to listen to me. I guess what you can ask the professors at Columbia and also at Union. Do they know James David Manning? You're damn right they do. They don't like me, but they know me. They remember when I was a student there. It's time to come home. It's time to come home to the truth. It's time to come home to ATLAH. It's time, black man, wake up. Wake up and see that you've been pimped by the world's greatest pimp called Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama. Me, I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. This is a bit of a news blog we do looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.